Have you ever wondered what it feels like to hold not just the key to the future, but a detonator for the very fabric of existence? Imagine standing on the threshold of the greatest discovery in human history, only to realize at that exact moment that your triumph marks the beginning of the end for the world as you knew it. Most of us go through life trying to leave some kind of mark. But there was a man who spent his entire life tormented by the fact that his mark was too deep, too dark, and too radioactive. Robert Oppenheimer. Today, his name is firmly cemented as the father of the atomic bomb, the genius scientist in a felt hat with a permanent cigarette between his lips. But behind this poster image lived a man whose soul was woven from contradictions, self-reproach, and intellectual arrogance. He wasn't just a physicist. He was a poet who read Dante in the original, studied Sanskrit to grasp ancient Indian texts, and possessed a mind capable of harnessing the energy of the stars. His path to Los Alamos was not a straightforward hero's journey. It was an escape from internal restlessness, from the depressions that haunted his youth, and from the feeling that the world around him was too small for his ambitions. When the US government asked him to lead the Manhattan Project, Oppenheimer saw it not just as a military task, but as an opportunity to become the creator of a new reality. He gathered the world's finest intellectuals in the New Mexico desert, turning a backwater plateau into the most expensive and secret scientific monastery in history. There, under the scorching sun, these men played God. They joked, argued, fell in love, and worked themselves to exhaustion, trying to outpace Nazi Germany. But the closer they got to the answer, the thicker the shadow fell upon their consciences. Oppenheimer saw this better than anyone. He was the conductor of this orchestra of death, believing he was creating a weapon that would end all wars. A naive, almost childlike faith of an intellectual who thought that absolute horror could bring absolute peace. Then came July 16th, 1945, the Trinity test. A flash brighter than 1,000 suns lit up the desert, turning sand into glass. At that moment, Oppenheimer did not rejoice. He didn't join the cheers of the others. In his mind, lines from the Bhagavad Gita surfaced. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." It wasn't a theatrical pose. It was an instantaneous, chilling realization that he had just released a genie that could never be put back into the bottle. Hiroshima and Nagasaki became more than just points on a map for him. They were a personal brand of shame. When the smoke over the Japanese cities cleared, Oppenheimer found that he had transformed from a national hero into a man who, in his own words, had blood on his hands. And this is where his true tragedy begins. He tried to stop what he had fathered. He opposed the creation of the hydrogen bomb, called for international control of atomic energy, and became an inconvenient prophet in a country gripped by Cold War paranoia. The system he gave everything to, his genius, his time, his reputation, chewed him up as ruthlessly as he once split uranium nuclei. He was accused of communist sympathies, stripped of his security clearance, and subjected to humiliating hearings that turned his private life and beliefs inside out. The man who gave his country absolute power was declared a threat to national security. Oppenheimer died in 1967, never having found peace. He remains in history as a symbol of scientific hubris and subsequent bitter atonement. He proved that knowledge is not only light, but also a consuming fire. We still live in the world he engineered in that desert, a world where peace is maintained by the fear of mutual destruction. Oppenheimer wanted to give humanity the fire of Prometheus, but instead he showed us exactly what our own hell looks like.